Hey guys, this is Mitch with the Department of Bad Ideas, and this is kind of a little add-on to the previous video that I did, sort of. I um I was sitting down here, I'm actually uploading that video right now. I realized I've shown the software that I use for my setup, which is entirely open source and free to use aside from my video editing software. Check out that video if you are interested in not spending a penny. But I realized that, I've never actually shown the entire rig that I work with. Granted, this extends beyond just the channel that I do. It also extends to my music. But I figured I might as well show you guys what I work with. You may notice my sound quality is not as good as my other videos that I put up recently because I'm not actually using my microphone right now. I'm using my webcam because I'll need to unplug my microphone for this. So, without further ado, first things first, the camera I'm using is a Logitech C525. It's a fairly good camera. There is an issue with the drivers for it right now that will cause me to randomly blue screen, but usually I have to have a pretty long session for that to happen, so not really too big of a deal. Other equipment that I'm using. Microphone that I normally work with. I'll show you here. I've got a mic stand here. I got this not too long ago. I actually used to blind my uncle, rest his soul, passed away in January. I'm using a pop filter, very important. You need one of these if you're going to do voiceover. See if I can balance this. Microphone I'm using is a Tascam microphone, specifically a TM78 microphone. This is a pretty cheap low-end mic. It does a really good job, though. I do very much like the audio quality out of this. It is surprisingly good for its cost. That mic is plugged into an Alesis Multimix 4 USB channel mixer. I'm knocking everything over. As you may have noticed, I made a bit of a mess over here. But this is the audio interface that I work with. I did do an unboxing video on this recently because it is very good. And this is what's going to enable me to do Let's Plays again, which is also very good. Other equipment that I'm working with. If I can get the camera angle here working. This is my magical drawer of goodies, pretty much. This stuff I've had for a long time. This is my Launchpad S, which unfortunately I bought it. I have not done nearly as much as I should have with it. It's kind of been relegated to a general use MIDI controller. I have my Akai LPD8. This is my pad controller, which this thing is a lot of fun to use. It sees some use. I use it for just sketching out ideas for drum pads. Or for drum lines, which is nice because I can do, kicker, hat, snare, or usually I do two kickers, put a snare here, and put a hat up here or something. Up here, which is nice. Knobs always come in handy. I've also got, this was 32 bucks, might I add. This is like my proud moment of getting equipment for cheap. I've also got a Korg Nano Control 2 down here. It's just your basic sliders and knobs. This is super cheap, but you know what? It does the job very well. Unfortunately, my keyboard has replaced that as far as the knobs and sliders go, which is a shame, but what can you do? This is all plugged into USB hub. GigaWare makes these. I use a ton of these. In fact, I believe I've got 4 of them plugged into the system in one form or another. Very good brand for these. This is actually AC powered, which is very good. And also, if I need to, I have extra... I believe this one's Targus brand. Yeah, Targus. Another hub. USB hubs are always handy. It lets you do a lot more with your system if you want it normally work. This one is not AC powered. I would recommend going for AC powered ones like this GigaWare one right here if you can, because those are always an improvement over just running with your standard. Make sure my wires don't get pinched. I am also running my microphone cable into this desk, coiling it up back here, and then I shoot it to the interface. Very handy. Dual monitor setup, since I'm going to be pointing this way anyways. Got some monitorception going on here. Very nice kind of setup for now. I do want to upgrade my GPU to get a triple monitor setup because I actually do need the space for FL Studio. Believe it or not, you do in fact need a third monitor if you want to have a good DAW setup. But so far, this is pretty good. I got the Dell monitor that came with my previous system, and then this Acer monitor that I picked up with this one. 5-1 surround speakers. These I got for about 50 bucks, I believe. Also Logitech. But I've got my 2 side speakers. This one's falling over. Let's fix that. There we go. I've got my speakers between the monitors, one over here, center, and my rear ones are back there. Now to make some chaos happen here, this is why I decided to use this microphone, use my webcam mic, because I needed to unplug that, get this out of the way so I can do this. I do have another TV up here, or another monitor sort of up here with my TV. I use this primarily for my video games, but I do plug my laptop into it to make it a secondary screen, which is nice. Laptop, unfortunately, is currently packed away in my backpack because I bring that to the college, and yeah, I kind of need it there more than I need it here. I've got this desktop anyways. Other stuff I've got going with this rig. Down here, yeah, I've shown this before with one of my previous videos. Another one of my hubs. This is where all of my equipment from up here plugs into. You can see this one right here is my audio interface. Stands out a little bit. I've shown this before. I've got my component adapter here. Three fives to component splitter kind of thing. And that will never focus in right. I still have a 3.5mm cable jammed into this component cable. It's silly looking, but it works. And that's all that's important. That is a USB sound card I'm using, which goes to these speakers right here. Now, when I'm working on a Let's Play with other people, I have them all on a Skype call. And I have all of Skype's audio shoots out to these speakers right here, which is actually this lower... Let's see here. It's just kind of weird. I'm trying to remember exactly how I rigged this up, but the splitter has one of these is actually, it might be the bottom one, I believe. Yeah, the bottom one is 3.5mm is the one that goes to these speakers, where the component cable here is what actually goes around, and it's actually a component to an audio to 3.5mm cable, which plugs right into the microphone jack. And I repurpose that audio that way and record it directly into Audacity. And this gives me the ability to record people's voices on Skype and my voice on the microphone separately from the audio in-game. Which doesn't sound like much, but it makes life much, much easier when it comes to doing any kind of video editing and audio mastering. Makes your life a lot easier. Also, we've got down here, you can see that blue light there is another interface. I'm not going to stick my camera down there because that's a bit of a mess. Also back there is a fan that I usually have running in the back of my system. Mess of wires, subwoofer, I've got a pair of power strips. Nothing too fancy there. Old Xbox 360 sitting in the corner there. Probably hasn't been turned on in about a month and a half or so. I only really play Dragon's Dogma on that nowadays. Every now and then Resonance of Fate, because I'm a little attached to that. Normally I'd have the Wii right here, but at my college there's a lot of people that play Project M, so that stays in my backpack and I play it there a bit. Couple extra controllers and stuff I've set up there. Normally, this area is relegated for my laptop. I keep it up top of here. I have this cable right here, plugs into my TV. Very handy. Down here, also nothing fancy. Just got the system, old interface down there. Actually got the box for the new one sitting here. I always hold on to my boxes. They come in handy for moving stuff. System itself I'm using. This is a... It's a 3.2 gigahertz hexa-core processor. I believe it's an AMD processor. 10 gigs of RAM, running a... I've switched out the graphics card. I'm using a NVIDIA GeForce 560 Ti. No, 560 GT. Gotta remember the GTX, whatever they call it. Too many names. So it's pretty reliable, works pretty good. Only supports 2 monitors, but I like it. One thing I forgot to mention, I do have a 1 terabyte solid state drive. This is where I back up everything. The entire Department of Bad Ideas is on this solid state. So they come in handy. They can take a lot of abuse. In case the 1.5 terabyte hard drive in this gives out, I have my backup plan. Outside of that, I've got, I mentioned this in my previous video, I've got my Novation Launch Key 61 key keyboard. I do have my older keyboard buried behind this box. It's a Korg Micro Key. It's a 3-octave keyboard. I liked it. It was useful, but the issue with that was that the keys, they're not weighted. This is just a much nicer feel to it, and I did get this for a steal. It's a $300 keyboard, but I got it during a Black Friday sale for 150, which that made me very happy. I use this to write out my scores for everything that I work on, and also this thing is a dust magnet. Good God. Which, if I start talking about this, I'll gush about the pad controllers, and I'll gush about the weighted keys, and the modulators, and the knobs and sliders, and you get the idea. As well as the keyboard. I do have my guitar. Don't ask me to play this just yet. I learned how to play guitar years and years and years ago, probably about 15 years ago almost, I want to say. I very recently picked it back up. This is actually the old guitar that I started with, believe it or not. It's a Epiphone. Les Paul Epiphone, whatever. And I'm sitting down and relearning it. I got my studio amp, the same one that I started with down there. I'm actually can plug this into my new audio interface that I'm using for my microphone. So more than likely I will be putting the amp away. I've got my, this doesn't belong to me, my father lets me use it. Camera, there we go. It's a digital effects pedal kind of setup. I want to just rig my guitar up to go through FL Studio and do my effects in real time with that, because that would be considerably better and work a lot nicer. Also, you can see I got my spare keyboard down there. This thing has actually been cannibalized a bit. As you can see, I don't actually use this keyboard except for replacing parts and every now and then to mess around with the circuit board for the sake of messing around with the circuit board. A couple extra boxes, controllers down there, spare cables. Nothing fancy. At this point, we've kind of left my rig. One thing I want to point out here, also my booze. This is important. I need my booze. Headphones I work with. These are very, very nice. Sennheiser HD 280 Pro. They're advertised as, get these on camera. They advertise these as headphone monitors, and they do the job really well. Very good neutral sound, very crisp, not prisp. Crisp, very pristine sound. I like them. The noise canceling is phenomenal on these. My father actually owns a pair of these. He uses them when he's mowing the lawn because he can't hear the lawnmower. So, with that, that is the setup that I work with. It's a little bit, I don't want to say janky, but I've done things that are a little unconventional with this setup. But, you know, at the end of the day, gets the job done, takes care of all my music needs, and I like it. So this video is ungodly long, as I was only planning on spending 5 minutes here, and I appear to have spent 13. So, without further ado, this is Mitch, signing off. After pointing out that I use a Razer Naga for my mouse and a Razer Nostromo for my pad here, because I just realized I forgot to mention that. And now, this is Mitch, signing off.